Guys, today we take the super budget PC and we give it a serious upgrade. Last time, we only had the integrated graphics on the Ryzen 5 4600G. We're getting rid of that, and we are giving it a serious upgrade with this 6650 XT from AMD right now. Let's go. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the RA Visuals YouTube channel, where you'll always find high quality visuals and high quality tech. And today we're going to be taking our recent integrated graphics PC build right here out of the super budget PC tier and giving it a huge graphics upgrade, taking it to a whole new level for just a bit more of an investment. And you know what? Speaking of investments, you know what sucks to have to invest a lot of money into? Windows 10 or 11 at full price. And thanks to today's sponsor, you won't have to. VIP URCD Key has you covered with fully licensed codes to activate your favorite games and software. Purchasing your key is super easy. All you have to do is click on the item that you want, click buy to add it to your cart. Once in your cart, you can now enter my promo code RAV20. After adding the promo code, you'll see your savings pop up, and you can then purchase your product with your chosen payment method. Finding and entering your Windows 10 CD key is super easy. All you have to do is go over to your user profile, find your purchase, and click View Keys and Codes to reveal your new CD key. Then all you have to do is go to Settings in Windows, click on Update and Security, click on Activation, and finally click on Change Product Key and paste your new key into the window and click Next. You'll now have a fully licensed version of Windows 10 with no watermark. Check the links in the description to start saving now. Alright, so in our last video with this PC, we put it through its paces with a bunch of games and really tried to see how far we could push it with just the integrated Radeon graphics from the Ryzen 5 4600G. And to my surprise, and possibly yours as well, it actually held its own in a lot of titles and delivered a very playable gaming experience. If you guys happen to miss that video, I'll go ahead and link it up here for you guys so you guys can check it out. Now let me quickly run you through the parts of this build. Like I said, if you want to see a more in-depth explanation, watch the first video because it has a lot more details on the parts in it. Also, I'll have all the parts I'm about to talk about and more suggestions down in the description for you, so if you're building a similar rig, you can grab those parts easily. For the CPU, the PC is running a Ryzen 5 4600G right now, but in this variation of the build, I'm going to suggest to you guys, since we're using a discrete graphics card already, we really don't need those integrated graphics anymore, so you can actually save a bit of money here by going with the Ryzen 5 4500 instead, which at the time of filming is available at GameStop of all places for just 79 bucks and is a very similar processor, still sporting 6 cores and 12 threads. For the motherboard, in this build, I went with the ASRock B550 Riptide, but unfortunately, the deal I got on this board is no longer available. That was a Black Friday deal, so I will go ahead and link another compatible motherboard in the description that fits the budget. For our RAM, I'd suggest picking up the cheapest 16 gig kit of DDR4 3600 MHz RAM that you can find out there. And now, if you can only find 3200 MHz, that won't hurt you that much, and in fact, the ADATA kit that I'm using in the build right now for this testing is running 3200 MHz, and it works just fine. For storage, this is all up to you, but in the PC right now, I run a 1TB M.2 drive from Silicon Power. And now they're super affordable, they're quick, and have been very stable for me and my builds. And again, if you do need to save a few bucks, you can always just step down and grab a 512 gig SSD and then add more storage later if you wish. For the power supply, this PC is using a Corsair CX650, which is honestly more than you need for this build, and again, I found it on a great Black Friday deal, but once again, I'll look a compatible and affordable option down below for you that fits our budget. Now for the case. Now this is completely up to you. I ended up using a case that Gamdia sent over to me, but I suggest you guys stay in the $50 to $60 range when choosing a case for this build. And again, I'll link an option down below for you guys, so that way you have an option to choose from if you have no idea what to take. Now onto our GPU we'll be upgrading to today. So we're going to be taking advantage of a really great deal I got on Black Friday with this AMD RX 6650 XT. Now, I would personally usually suggest that you guys go for a 6600 or a 6600 XT for this price point, but I was actually able to grab this card for only 250 bucks US, so it ended up being a steal. And now you can still find it for around $300 new right now, US money of course, and it does fit the budget, but I'll of course link all 3 cards down below that I just mentioned. I'll also include an NVIDIA option for you guys to choose, just to kind of make sure that you guys get the best card for your needs. And of course, you can also always go for some kind of used option to save money as well. Anyway, the specific specific card I'll be using is this brand new MSI Mech 2X model of the 6650, which has a pretty basic and clean cooling design, I'll say, but no RGB or anything crazy, but it does come with a dual fan design, 8 gigs of GDDR6 memory, PCIe 4.0 support, and only takes one pin PCI connector and has 3 display ports and 1 HDMI out. Installing this thing was pretty easy, so since our build didn't already have a dedicated GPU, I simply just had to shut the PC down and disconnect the PSU. Then I went ahead and opened up the case and slotted our new 6650 in the top PCIe slot. Then after one PCIe connector goes in, I was able to close up the case and power the system on. And after that, I simply just made sure that I was running the latest drivers and went to town testing our new card. Okay guys, so here's the price list for our build here, and as you can see, I had to switch a few things around, most notably being our hard drive, and now we have to use a 512 gig and not a 1 terabyte to come in under budget. But now, let's get on to the benchmarks. And now all our benchmarks will once again be running at 1080p. The settings will be on the screen, of course, but keep in mind, this PC is definitely capable of 1440p gaming as well, but with that, let's go ahead and do some synthetic benchmarking first. Starting with 3D Mark Firestrike, we were able to achieve a score of 23,143, which is a very, very nice score for this. And if you compare that to what we got with our last PC with just integrated graphics, yeah, you can see that there's a gigantic difference in this benchmark anyway. And then moving over to Firestrike Extreme, which is the 1440p version of this, we were able to get 12,460, which is again a very, very nice benchmark number for this setup. And then rounding things out, we ran Time Spy and we were able to achieve a score of 9,416, so just under 10,000 points, which is also pretty dang good. Now getting things started with our lighter titles, once again, we hop into Rocket League and we were able to get an average FPS in this run of 351 FPS. And now, if you compare that to the just 76 FPS we were able to achieve last time with integrated graphics, you'll see how much of an insane upgrade this really is. Now moving on to Rainbow Six Siege, this time around we were able to get an average FPS of 248. If you compare that to last time's 118, we definitely see a huge improvement here, even though it looks like the system's not even being fully utilized, especially the GPU, as we're sitting around 30 to 40% utilization almost the entire time. So maybe making this step up to 1440p would probably utilize our new graphics card a little bit better. And now for our last lighter title, we move into Overwatch 2, and as you can see, I'm getting a steady around 178, 179 FPS, and I actually was just straight up gaming in this game. I even achieved almost like a 15 kill streak while I was playing this game because it was so freaking smooth, and I just had my head down and was just murking these dudes. And not only were we able to improve the graphics quality, but we were also able to achieve a much higher FPS number compared to our only 61 FPS last time around. Now moving on to our heavier titles, starting off with Diablo 2 Resurrected. And now this time, again, we were able to bump up the settings all the way to Ultra, everything maxed out, and we were able to achieve a 138 FPS average with a bunch of effects and everything on, and the game looks absolutely beautiful. And last time, if you guys remember, we were only able to achieve just about a 32 FPS average with the integrated graphics. So again, a huge improvement. Speaking of huge improvements, Doom Eternal was able to run extremely smooth this time around, totally smashing our last FPS number of 32 with a new average FPS number of 208. And as you guys can see, it definitely went higher in certain parts, but where I test it here with all these different effects going on and all sorts of explosions and everything, I gave it the biggest stress test in this game we could possibly do, but it was still super smooth and it felt great to play. Moving over to Apex Legends, we were able to see a very solid, almost 144 FPS, but the average ended up being about 141 over this run right here. But guys, I was seeing a pretty locked in 144 FPS, even in a bunch of different fights with all sorts of effects going on. So it was a very, very smooth play experience once again. And comparing that to our only 42 FPS average last time, yeah, this game is much more playable now and much more enjoyable in my opinion. Now moving over to good old Fortnite. Now we were playing with pro settings is what I call it. So, you know, low everything and max view distance. We were also also getting a very, very playable 180 FPS average on this. And don't worry about the 1% lows and the 0.1% lows there. That's some stuttering that occurred when we got out of the, you know, the bus and when I flew down and all that. So that would smooth out no matter what. And then of course, as you see right here on the screen, my average doesn't look to be about 180, but you can see the frame rate, it's actually way above it. So over the course of the entire run, that was the average, and it was very, very smooth to play. Okay, moving over to The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt Next Gen Enhanced Edition that just came out. So if you guys remember last time, we were struggling to even hit 30 FPS, and now this time around, we are able to go ahead and get a very, very playable 89 FPS average over the course of our run. I did the exact same thing we did in the last video, and this was way smoother, and it looks a ton better in my opinion as well. It would actually be playable at 1440p if you guys wanted to as well. So once again, guys, Call of Duty decided it didn't want to work and I couldn't even get the game to launch, so instead I got some Escape from Tarkov free, which is also a very, very difficult game to run. But at 1080p high settings, we were able to go ahead and get about 105, 106 while we're in Factory, which is a smaller map, and then out in one of the really big maps, this is Customs, which is a very, very common map that people play. I was getting anywhere from about, you know, 60 to 80 FPS around there. Even while in a big fight like I am right now, we're definitely staying over 60 FPS, and if I adjusted some settings a little bit, I'd probably be able to, you know, net probably 10 more FPS or so like that too. Now hopping back into Cyberpunk, now this is one of the games that saw one of the biggest improvements as well, and so when you're doing menial tasks like this and just kind of in an interior with a few characters and maybe doing a little bit of the story stuff, you're getting around a 90 FPS average. I think I clocked a 92 FPS average is what it was. And then when you're outside actually doing a lot of fighting and there's a ton of people around, I noticed that it still stayed above a good 60 FPS no matter what we were doing, so that was great to see. Alright tech friends, so what have we learned today? Well, for starters, the new Call of Duty is just a huge pain in the ass. Like, just why? Like, why make a game that is giving so many people out there so much trouble to just get it to run? Ugh. Anywho, what I really learned from our previous video and today's video is that there really is now an amazing way to get into PC gaming once again, and it doesn't require you to sell a kidney and even your firstborn child in order to obtain the parts to build one like it did maybe a year or two ago. And we're definitely in a great time to build a gaming PC again, and with the numbers I got today, it really doesn't require you to go all out for like the absolute best of the best parts to get a great gaming experience. I mean, guys, I had so much fun testing all the games on stream with all of you guys for both iterations of this PC, and for a little bit there, I honestly forgot I wasn't gaming on my expensive PC that I have back there anymore. I was honestly just I had my head in the game and I was having a ton of fun, and that's honestly what it's really all about, right? Anyway, those are just my opinions and I want to hear yours. So let me know what you thought of today's build in the comments below. And you know what, if you didn't like what I built, honestly, just tell me why and what I can do better in a build next time. But if you did like the build that we did today and found this video helpful, be sure to go ahead and drop the video a like. And as always, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, or you can even become a channel member like these awesome folks who really do support what I do and help give me feedback on what I can do better. But that's going to be it for this one, you guys. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I will catch you later.